welcome back to another episode of the Stat Sheet. You already know how this go. Najee Masai, the guy, and my boy AS Alex Singleton. And today we were talking, and before I even realized the matchup was this week, we were discussing which team do we think needs a win more, the Chiefs after losing to the Denver Broncos or the Dolphins? And then figured out that they started playing. So today's topic is on Sunday. Which team needs this win more, Miami or Kansas City? Alec, what do you think, my boy?
Well, I had an answer in mind when we first brought up the question. But then after doing a little bit of research, it made me kind of switch my answer a little bit. Because at first I thought the Chiefs needed to win more. And I was standing by that. But then I kind of did a little more research. Because here's the thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We know what Patrick Mahomes can bring to the table. And no matter how deep in the gutter they might be, which they're not, they're only 6-2. I mean, people make it seem like they're terrible. They're still at the top. They're going to win their division. They really don't have any competition in their division right now. They just need some playmakers. They need some wide receivers. They got a lot of young guys over there, but outside of Travis Kelce, you don't have that big weapon that he can rely on. They have an elite defense, and a big stat that stuck out to me, they haven't lost back-to-back games since weeks 2 and 3 in 2021. I mean, that's over 2 years since they've lost back-to-back games. So that made me switch my answer to the Miami Dolphins, right? Elite offense. They have been balling. Tyreek Hill is on pace to break the receiving yards record. He's on pace for 2,000 plus. It feels like every game goes off for at least 100. And it's his revenge game, right? Chiefs didn't pay him. Or at least the Dolphins paid him more, right? He wanted, I was just watching a video earlier this week leading up to this game. He wanted to stay a Chief, and they offered him X amount of money. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But then the Dolphins offered him a lot, and he wanted to be in Miami, obviously tax reasons, and I think that was like his dream team or whatever. So it's been a match made, right? The Dolphins have an elite offense, and we know that. Tua's been balling. They got Jalen Waddle. They got probably the fastest offense maybe in NFL history. But their defense has been so bad. I mean, they allow plenty of points while scoring a lot of points. So that's why I think the Dolphins need to win more. They need to prove themselves against an elite team. They've beat a lot of scrubs, right? They put up 70 on the Broncos, and the Chiefs just lost to the Broncos. So, anything can happen on any given Sunday. Man, the Dolphins really need to win one. They let out like 48 points to the Bills when they lost. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. It's gonna be a great game. I hate that it's 9:30 in the morning in Germany, but it is what it is. But I'm excited to see what Tyreek Hill does in this revenge game. Because as elite as the Chiefs defense is, getting Chris Jones back, their secondary's been playing great. Trent McDuffie's been a star corner for him. L'Jarius Sneed over there. But who's fast enough to guard Tyreek Hill? Is there any corner in the league that really can guard him one-on-one? They're going to need to have help. And then on the other side, we got Jalen Waddle. Man, it's going to be tough. As long as Tua keeps balling the way he's gone, I think the Dolphins would be all right. But I think the Dolphins need to win this more simply because the Chiefs don't have pressure in their division. The Dolphins have pressure. They have the Bills. The Jets are still winning games even without Aaron Rodgers. Dolphins need to prove themselves in this one. Tyreek Hill revenge game. I can't wait to see what happens. What do you got, Nash?
Other points. I kind of have my mind set on saying that the Dolphins needed to win more because, in my opinion, the Chiefs are 7-1. Right. The only game they really lost to me was the one to the Broncos, and you said that anything can happen on any given Sunday. They beat those Lions. They beat them. A couple of drop passes, interception that wasn't on Patrick Mahomes. Chris Jones wasn't there. Kelce wasn't there. Right. Game was still close. Right. Missing 2 of your 3 best players, and pull it close like that, to me, that game's like, all right, you take that one. That and the Broncos, eventually they were coming all the talk that by Russell Wilson and the Broncos not playing well and can't beat the Chiefs. And the Broncos actually, Russell Wilson has been having a great season, regardless of what anyone's saying. I mean, you can say what you want, but watch him play. Look at the numbers. He's playing great. But when it comes down to it, the Chiefs are dominant. You said it. You know what Patrick Mahomes can do. You know what he's going to do. And he's shown up every time you need him to show up, game after game, year after year. And he gets less and less every year, and his level of play does not deteriorate in the slightest. So who needs to win more? Miami Dolphins. You play the Bills. The Bills embarrass you. You were undefeated, and then you get embarrassed by Josh Allen, who's known for making a lot of mistakes. And that game, they couldn't even tackle. Stephon Diggs was breaking tackles and just was unguardable that game. And then you play the Eagles, and I think Jalen Hurts played good that game. I don't think he played great by any means. I think he played good, and you lose that game, right? And those are two possible teams you can meet, whether it's the Super Bowl or the playoffs, regardless. So it's like you play those two teams, and what happens? You come up short. You don't play up to the level that you've been playing at when you've been playing subpar, mediocre teams. And now you're playing the defending champs. These guys have shown up time and time again. They don't need this win because they're making the playoffs regardless. And you brought up a fact that I didn't even think about. You're in a division where you need those wins. You're in a division where those teams are winning. You're not too much worried about the New England Patriots, but the Jets are still getting wins. The Bills are an elite team, and that's what you have to go against. And then the Chiefs have to go against the Chargers. They have to go against the Raiders. They have to go against the Broncos, all under 500 teams. They're making the playoffs regardless. They're on cruise control, and I do wish that both these teams would have done more before trade deadline. But Jalen Ramsey is back too, and you got to pay that some attention. That's going to be very scary. But the thing is, who is he going to have to guard? There's no one over there to guard. So and you can't teach speed. It's going to be hard to guard Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but it's not impossible. And yeah, you can score the ball, but can you keep up with the Chiefs, right? Because the Chiefs can hold their own on the defensive end. So I do think that the Dolphins have more to prove because the Chiefs have been proven year after year. You go to the Super Bowl, who you lose to, the greatest of all time. I just think that they're set in stone. They keep losing, but they losing pieces, but they keep winning games. They keep winning titles. And even though Tyreek Hill was traded, and he said he didn't want to leave, and I really wish he did stay there. I do wish Devontae Adams would have went to Kansas City. They needed that option. They should have looked more into that. I do think they should have tried to get D-Hop when he was available. I do think they're missing key opportunities to gain those assets that can ease some of the stress off Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Not have to worry as much when it comes to who's passing the ball to. I know you got Rice, Scott Moore, but those aren't. I know you just got Scantlin and you got Hardman, but those aren't one options for sure. Those aren't wide receiver one. Those are backup options if your ones or two fails. You got Pacheco, who's great. So I just think they don't have enough, but they don't have nothing to prove. They coming in every game and they're toe to toe with the best, and they can beat the best because they are the best. So the Dolphins have more to prove, and they need this win more. But I don't think they'll win it. Doesn't matter what they bring. I do see them coming up short once again. And then the tale won't be what can the Bills make it to the Super Bowl? It'll be, or the playoffs. It'll be what's next. I mean, for the Dolphins, it'll be what's next for the Dolphins. Like, because once you lose to three great teams and you keep beating scrubs, I don't think you could put them in the upper echelon anymore. You can't put them up there when you mention the Eagles. You can't put them up there when you mention the Bills. You can't put them up there when you mention the Chiefs, because when they played those teams, they sold. So I think after this Sunday, we'll be looking at what's wrong with this roster.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And I think coming into the season, it was all about, can Tua be the elite quarterback and take him to the next level? Well, now it's like all the questions are on the defense. You got Jalen Ramsey back, Xavier Howard on the other side. You got some good pass rushers, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. But yeah, as you said, losing to the Bills, the Eagles, and now the Chiefs on the schedule, you still have to play the Bills again. You have to play the Jets twice. They got to play the Cowboys, the Ravens. I mean, they have a tough schedule coming up. It's a lot of heavy hitters. We'll have to see. I think it's definitely a Dolphins need to win this game just to prove themselves. They don't need to win it for their, their record, but they need to win it just to prove themselves that they belong at the top tier because they're going to make the playoffs, right? But when you play an elite team, like they might have to play the Chiefs in the opening round or, the divisional conference championship, whatever, however far any of these teams make it, right? But you have to prove you can beat them. And so far, they've came up short. They've played a lot of bad teams, but their schedule coming up is tough. We'll have to see what happens. Man, I'm excited to see what Tyreek Hill comes out, man. Because
I do think he's going to have a good game, but on the other end of the spectrum, the Chiefs do have some tough games on their schedule left too, because you do got the Dolphins, you do got the Eagles, you do got the Bengals, you do got the Bills, you do got the Chargers. You got some names left on that schedule, Kansas City. And we know they're going to pull out a lot of these dubs, but you do want to start off on a good note, right? And I do think this is the best team they have played so far. I mean, you can say the Lions, but I think they beat the Lions. You can say the Jaguars because the Jaguars are playing good, and I do like the Jaguars defense, but they have the wrong. But as far as the best team that they played so far this season, this is it right here. This is a test to see, all right, we got a couple of tough games coming up. We got some tough defenses we're going to have to face because we still do have to face the Patriots, even though they'll win that because they don't have an offense. And you still got to face the Raiders twice. You don't know if they can get that offense going because they still do got a lot on that offense. You got to face a tough defense with the Packers regardless. They still do have a tough schedule, right? I mean, that's what you expect from the champ. So hopefully Kansas City can start off on a good note and just show that, hey, we are still the defending champs. And everything goes through us. So let's see if they can make that statement.
See. It's a must watch, regardless. Usually these early games, it's like, man, do I want to get up for that? This is a game I want to watch. It's gonna be a great one.
Yeah, I'm still debating on waking up that early. but anyway, man, thank y'all for tuning in on this episode of the Stat Sheet. We out.